little cold heart just melted. Hi guys! So here I am back again with another video. What up? So today I'm going to talk to you guys about Felix Ever After by Kaysen Calendar, and I hope to God I am pronouncing that right. Otherwise, that would be really embarrassing. So the reason why I read Felix Ever After in the first place is, well, one, Pride Month, yo! And also, incidentally, I am part of this Filipino book club named Bibliophile Guild PH. And Felix Ever After was chosen as our book of the month for June. I'm also not gonna show the physical copy because I did read the ebook for this. Felix Ever After is about a transgender male teenager named Felix Love. And the thing about Felix is that he finds it ironic that his last name is Love, but that he's never actually experienced love. And judging by the fact that he's only 17, I think that's kind of okay. I mean, I didn't have a boyfriend until I was in college, until I was 18, and even then it was a really bad relationship, and that's another story for another day. But anyway, so Felix Love, he's an art student who kind of specializes in acrylics, and he goes to this art school in New York. Other students are studying different mediums, while Felix does acrylic. There are people who do photography and sculpting, and you get the point. Felix actually kind of like, I guess, archived the pictures that he posted on Instagram from before he transitioned. And these pictures that he posted, as I said, he archived them. And he's always thought about deleting them, but for some reason he never actually did. And he walks into school one morning, and in like this gallery area, someone blew up all the photos that he archived in his Instagram and just laid it out there for everyone to see. And I can't even begin to imagine how that must have felt, but I assume it was pretty traumatizing. So thankfully, Felix's best friend, Ezra, took it all down and basically like made everyone go away, everybody get the fuck to class. And so Felix sort of has this enemy in school. Like, he's this guy, Declan. He kind of taunts Ezra and Felix a lot. They all used to be best friends, and at one point Ezra and Declan actually dated, but then for some reason Declan broke it off, and he kind of just left them hanging. Now they're in senior year and their relationship has gone awry, and Felix really suspects that Declan is the one who did it. So thinking that he did it, he makes this fake Instagram account to grab Declan's attention, hoping that he'll get Declan to spill some kind of secret and Felix can return the favor. So, long story short, in the end, they find out who he is, Felix falls in love with someone, and it's a really beautiful, heartwarming story. So throughout the story, we explore Felix. It's sort of like a coming of age type of story. So like, Felix admits throughout the story that even though he transitioned, he sometimes still feels uncomfortable when he's referred to as a boy, yet he also feels uncomfortable when he's identified as a girl. So throughout the story, he kind of delves into exploring his identity. We come across that more later in the end, but that moment where he realizes who he is was just so beautiful. And what I love about this story is that it shows a whole different side to the LGBTQ plus community. Like, even though a person is gay or lesbian, this story shows that not everyone is accepting of trans people. We also explore Felix's relationship with his father and his father's mindset on Felix transitioning. Because for a parent, I don't think that would be easy as well. So the story actually shows that not that even though a parent is accepting of their child's identity, it's still a process for them as well, emotionally and mentally. So his father, he paid for everything. He paid for the surgeries, for the medicines he needed, and yet there's still a part of him that is still holding on to the Felix pre-transition. And just being shown that side of a story, I find really eye-opening, and I'm glad that it's there. But I will say that I definitely did like the ending, and it was a really sweet, cute moment. Like, it had so much build up to the very cute fluff in the end. But the thing is, it's not just fluff, it's deeper than fluff. I can't even begin to describe it. I just love the story so much. I read this in under a day. I started it yesterday around 2 p.m. and then I had to do some work in between, you know, family time, and then I stayed up until 4:30 in the morning finishing this book, and I have no regrets. And that is why my makeup is really heavy today. It's so that I can hide the fact that I'm tired as but oh well, whatever, I look cute. Also, I find it really ironic that this book has so many Harry Potter references, especially like Felix's name comes from Felix Felicis, which is Latin. It really is Latin, but the fact that they used Harry Potter's reference as well, or that there was a scene where they were talking about Harry Potter houses and comparing it to their astrological signs. And it's really ironic that a book with a trans main character has all those Harry Potter references because of a certain cancelled author. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go on Twitter. So first things first, I found Felix annoying as at the beginning, okay? The thing about Felix is that he had to go through a whole lot of character development in order for me to not find him annoying, which is fine. Excuse me, I had to burp. You know, I'm normally into more plot-driven stories, but with contemporary novels lately, either writers are upping the game with their character-driven plots, or I'm just reading better books now. So if you read the book, Felix identifies now as a demi-boy, which according to the description in the book, and from my understanding, a demi-boy means that he identifies mostly or partly male. It shows a very modern take on figuring out your sexuality as well, because the advice people gave him was basically go search online, which he did. And I guess that's the power of the internet nowadays. And like, the internet could be such a dangerous place as shown by the conflict in the story, but it could also be such a beautiful place where Felix was able to read up on experiences of others, research on different terms, until he finally found a term that he felt fits. And I think that's beautiful. Okay, I'm just gonna pop this in a little bit. I don't normally wear eyeshadow because 1, I'm too lazy, 2, I can't blend for but because of Felix, I was more than willing to try. I mean, guys, come on. That cover. Hello. Hi. I think I'm just gonna put somewhere on my screen. Bam! It's beautiful, guys. It's gorgeous. And it looks so simple, like it's just a drawing of a boy, but it's I'm not a graphic designer, but like at first when I saw the cover, I'm like, okay, that's cute. And then I read the book and I'm like, my little cold heart just melted. And I don't know, I picked yellow because you know how like Felix means lucky in Latin, and because you know Harry Potter, but in the end Ezra researches and finds out that Felix also means happy, and you know yellow is normally associated with the emotion happy, so I thought, why not? I don't know, I feel cute. I think I'm cute. Do I look cute? Should I take this part of the video? And speaking of Ezra, okay, I love Ezra, baby boy. So much. Okay, I love Ezra. I love him. 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 Okay, not in an me kind of way. Not even a can I marry you kind of way. It's more of a oh baby boy, I just want to hug you tight and protect you, even though you're the one who does most of the protecting. So like Ezra and Felix's friendship is just the cutest and one of the most beautiful relationships I have seen in a book. Okay, it is just like, okay, I know in the end that they end up together, so the way Ezra treats Felix is probably driven by his feelings for him, but at the same time, even though they were friends, it's just they would hold hands, they would cuddle each other, they would sleep on the same bed, and just oh, my heart. Okay, what kind of bugs me though about the plot? So we know that Felix and Declan kinda almost got into a relationship, and I kind of got emotionally invested in that relationship, and then the Ezra plot twist happens. So as much as I love Ezra and as much as I love that Felix and Ezra are together, I kind of have mixed feelings about it. I'm not against it, okay? I'm not against it, but I was at first so happy that there was this platonic relationship, okay? How Felix and Ezra were so comfortable with each other, how much they cared for each other, how much Ezra protected Felix, and I'm just like, oh, they're just friends, they're just the best of friends, but we got all this emotion. I love it, I love it, I love it so much, and he's so protective of him. And then they actually end up together. I mean, it all made sense. Like, why Ezra would always be so mad whenever Felix got hurt. But at the same time, I was kind of rooting for... I was rooting for you! That level of platonic friendship, okay? But yeah, I do agree. Felix and Declan, that would have been a really toxic relationship. Yeah, I love a good enemies to lovers kind of relationship, but the fact that Declan said, I think I'm falling for you really early on, kind of a red flag for me, because it shows just how, I don't know, it just shows how easily Declan could fall for someone. He's been through all this trauma, and then the moment someone was nice to him and complimented his art and he found himself easily talking to someone, what if he and Felix did get together and someone else came along who made Declan feel that way? Would he easily be swayed? I hope not. I don't know, I think it would have been a really toxic relationship. I also just want to talk about Marisol and Austin.
Feel this profound peace in your bones, your muscles, your organs, your skin.
I literally screamed in the end when we found out that Austin was the one who did it. I mean, okay, I kind of figured it out, okay? I kind of figured it out early on because Marisol was too obvious to be the one to do it, okay? She, like, the fact that she said to Felix that he's misogynistic because he chose to transition. Girl, what's wrong with you? The fact that she's also lesbian, okay, like, it just shows how close-minded people can still be, even when they are in the LGBTQ plus community. Okay, and I'm straight, as far as I know, but I've always been led to believe that the LGBTQ plus community was a very strong, tight-knit type of group and community, basically. Yet we have people like Marisol. I'm guessing Marisol's not the only kind of person to think that way. Marisol and Austin. There was that scene when they were in class when everybody kind of found out that Austin had a crush on Ezra, kind of early on in the book. And I annotated it in my ebook, but I was thinking, what if it was Austin who put up the whole gallery because he had a crush on Ezra? And as petty as it is, no, people are petty. I was still shocked at the end when Austin did it, especially since, like, he made another Instagram account and kind of taunted Felix through that account as well.
I'm still here, bitches. And I know everything. Hey.
Talking about how he's not actually a boy and that he's fooling himself and everyone else and that he should just identify as a girl because that's what he was born as. But, like, bitch, let me slap you in the face. So, like, with Marisol and Austin, like, especially that scene at the beach where Marisol and Felix kind of have a fight and Felix storms out because Marisol is saying all this bullshit about accepting this and that. I kind of can't remember. It was 3 a.m. Forgive me. But basically, Felix made a snarky comment that maybe we should start the change within ourselves. And Marisol is all like, what the do you mean by that, little bitch? And Felix was just like, nope, enough. I'm gonna walk out of the situation. But Ezra follows him and he's like, dude, what's happening? And Felix told him what Marisol said, which was a secret that he was keeping for like 2 years. And Ezra just went off on Marisol. Leia, one of their new friends, went off on Marisol. Thank God. And the entire time Austin was just quiet, which I think should have been a red flag that I didn't get, but it was a clue. It was a clue. The fact that he was quiet was a clue. And then Felix and Declan kind of tried to have a relationship. And okay, so they kind of tried to have a relationship, but like Declan and Felix were definitely not gonna work. Even though like the whole grandpa bit was just this cutest thing, because like at the beginning when Felix and Ezra take the train and then there's an old man staring at them and the old man's like, I have a grandson who's gay and I think you would like him. And then he gets off the train. And then later on, when Declan introduces Felix to his grandfather, it turns out the old man at the start, at like chapter 1, was Declan's grandfather. And he's like, I knew you'd like my grandson. And I'm just like, you could see how emotionally invested I got into the idea of Declan and Felix, okay? But I know it would have been a really toxic relationship, especially when we got to the part where Felix and Declan are making out. And Declan kind of, I wouldn't say pushed or forced, but he was really under the idea that they were gonna have sex and was kind of making hints towards it, even though Felix was like, I'm not comfortable with that. So yeah, no. No. I will say I would have liked to have seen more of Declan, especially knowing his backstory now. And like, okay, here's the thing. I kind of relate a lot to Declan and Ezra because of the way I was brought up. And I don't know, Ezra and Declan, they kind of hit home a little bit. I think that's why I love them both so much, because they kind of hit home. Also, another thing about Felix is that, so like, he's an art student, but as much as people say that he's good, he doesn't actually make good outputs. You know what I mean? Like, it's like he could never, you know, just make something good, just more than good, something to put people in awe. And he always believed that he needs to fall in love in order for him to do that, because he hasn't felt that strong kind of emotion yet. And in the end, towards the end, his teacher tells him, why don't you do a self-portrait? And there's this scene where he just gets so into it. I don't know all these art terms, but he just got so into it. He was just painting and doing art.
It doesn't matter if people think you're crazy, you know. Painters are noted for being a little weird anyway. We can get away with things like that.
He was doing this art piece, and the scene felt so powerful because he was just so engrossed in it. And he decides later on to enter his work into their school, like, competition. So they kind of have this thing where at the end of the year or so, they choose a student's works to be put into a gallery. So he decides to apply for that, because in the story he's always like, no, I'm not good enough, I don't have work that's good enough, I need to fall in love first. And in the end, he does do that, and later on he ends up being chosen. And this can sound really cheesy, but this is where we insert Miss RuPaul.
If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else?
Amen. It's the day of the Pride March, and oh my god. And Felix decides not to go, even though Leia has been inviting him, and Ezra would be there as well, though they by this point they've already had their fight. And Felix is like, no, I'm not gonna go. And then later on he changes his mind. He's like, okay, I'll go. And Leia's like, it's gonna be a surprise to Ezra, so I'm not gonna tell him, but meet me here and here. And he gets there, and turns out Ezra's not with her. They kind of got separated during the march. So Felix is like, okay, you stay here in case he comes back, and I'm gonna go try and find him. And then they find him across like the street or something, and he's like, Ezra, I love you. And everyone's just like and it's just, oh my heart. And then Ezra runs to him, and then he's like, say that again. And he's like, I love you. And then they kiss. Just, I also want to talk more into detail about Felix's relationship with his parents. Felix's mom actually left before Felix transitioned, and she remarried someone in Florida and has another son and daughter. And Felix emailed her one time, the very first email, and told her that he's trans, and she never replied. And over the years, Felix, whenever he seems to have kind of an internal problem, he composes an email, but he never actually sends them for fear of being disappointed again. In the end, he sends her one last email where he talks about what he's been through, his emotions, how he's feeling, and he sends it, and that's the last email he ever sent her, at least as far as the story goes. And all the 476, 77 other emails that were saved in his drafts, deleted. Thank God for that. And then we have his dad, who works as a doorman in the condo and does all sorts of odd jobs in order to get Felix the education he wants in order to pay for the surgeries and anything else that Felix needs. And even with all that support, he can never call Felix Felix. He's always using Felix's dead name.
That's not my name.
The name he was given when he was born, which is now his dead name. And we see a scene where his dad calls him by his dead name just by an accident. He holds on to that last part of the child he thought that he had. So that was the last bit that he needed to let go of, yet it was the most important part of Felix, his name. And the fact that his own father could not call him Felix was, I'm assuming, heartbreaking for him. We see him react negatively. Throughout the book, Felix's father really is supportive of Felix. His father raised him as a single dad, yet he's able to do all this for Felix. And yet the name is the last bit he holds on to and just can't let go. And it's a beautiful scene in the end when his father finally does call him Felix. I love how the author never actually says the name. The author always called it dead name and never mentioning the name. I think that's a beautiful detail by the writer, where he decided not to put the name because it's a dead name. It's not important. It shouldn't be important. We shouldn't be wondering what his name was. And that's a beautiful element and a very important one, because it shows that we do not have to wonder about his past if he doesn't want to show it, if he doesn't want to share it. Just have to... It's just, oh, my love, my heart, everything in between. Oh, it's just so beautiful. It's a beautiful book. And I hope that more people read this, because this book deserves so much love, okay? Love, 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 love.
And love is love is love.
Love. So yeah, I obviously enjoyed Felix Ever After. And I hope you guys would be able to read it, because it's so beautiful. It's so heartwarming and it's eye-opening. And okay, yes, Felix will be annoying in the beginning, but it's a really good character development. Really good. Really good. Really good. Okay? He doesn't make the best choices, but he figures them out, okay? I very rarely say that people who are annoying at the beginning get good character development, because most of the time, in my experience, they just end up annoying the entire time. And there's barely any character growth, or if there is, they're still annoying as But yeah, it's just my babies. I love them so much. I'm gonna cry. No, girl, don't cry. No. You have a Zoom call later, you cannot cry. So yeah, that was my review of Felix Ever After by Kaysen Calendar. Please call me out if I am pronouncing his name wrong. Like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!